Of all the things I could talk about multiple times in a row, this is the best one. Take two. Hi friends, welcome to another vlog. Today I want to talk about my current read. This is something I could talk about forever, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief. My current read is the O'Malley series by Dee Henderson. And this is one of those series that unfortunately sat on my to-be-read list for years before I finally got to it in January. And it was through no fault of its own. I just don't read that fast. You've probably noticed if you follow me on Instagram. I first discovered the O'Malley series in an article that I cannot manage to relocate, but it did exist, and it was the first place that I had ever seen the term Christian fiction used. And it's not that this is the first series that I've read in that genre. The Pilgrim's Progress is technically Christian fiction, but it's not presented that way in school. It's presented as a must-read classic. So I was totally thrown off by the fact that this book was not only being presented, this whole series was not only being presented as Christian fiction, but it was also being presented as mystery and suspense and romance. How could all of those themes be in the same book? I am here today to say that it is not only possible to have all of those different elements in the same story, but it's freaking beautiful. There are some minor spoilers in this video, but nothing that will ruin your reading of this series, so not to fear. I think the best place to start talking about the O'Malley series is with the characters. The O'Malleys are not your typical siblings. They are actually a group of 7 orphans who, after being released from the foster system at 18, legally changed their last names to become their own family. So you have Kate, who's a hostage negotiator, Marcus, who's a U.S. Marshal, Lisa, who's a forensic pathologist, Jack, who's a firefighter, Rachel, who's a trauma counselor, Stephen, who's a paramedic, and Jennifer, who is also a doctor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7. I love that these people chose each other to be their own family. Their relationships are built on a firm foundation of 20 years of friendship. That's a long time to know somebody. Being that a lot of them are in some form of law enforcement, they are super protective of each other. I am currently reading book 5, The Protector, which focuses mostly on Jack O'Malley. Jack's character is so unique because where a lot of the O'Malley siblings bury their pasts by ignoring them, Jack covers his in a thick layer of humor. But underneath all the laughs, Jack is actually a very intelligent, very empathetic character. It's nice to find a series where I can appreciate each individual character as well as all of them as a whole. Not every series is like that, as I am sure you are aware. When it comes to the actual plot lines of these books, I find that they're more suspenseful than they are mysterious. Usually you have quite a bit of information about the antagonist, and it's not so much about who's the bad guy as it is about reaching him. On the whole, I really appreciate that the plot lines of these individual books don't feel rushed or forced or over the top. Each book feels like a natural progression of the story, and there are certain elements that carry through each book so that even though they're all narrated or presented by a different character, you do get that series vibe. As to the romance, it is beautiful. Dee Henderson is an award-winning author for her romantic fiction. The prequel to this series, Danger in the Shadows, won the Rita Award, which is the highest national award for romantic fiction. I don't read a ton of romantic fiction, but if you follow me on Instagram, you do know that I really love Me Before You. The romance in these books is nothing like that. It's also nothing like, say, Divergent. I've always been really confused by the way Divergent was marketed because it's a romance. There are dystopian elements to it, but it's a romance. And I love Divergent for what it is, but I was so confused when I got to the end of that first book and had to ask myself, what made it dystopian exactly? The romance in the O'Malley series is incredible because rather than being all hot and heavy, it's realistic. I think the best example I can give you is from book 4, The Truth Seeker. Lisa O'Malley has some rather hefty trauma from her childhood, and rather than trying to drag it out of her or bury it so that he doesn't have to deal with it, Quinn determines that he's going to gain enough of Lisa's trust that she'll just tell him the truth. Their relationship should not be as amazing as it is, but there just aren't a lot of relationships like theirs represented in books. Granted, love comes in a lot of forms, but true love is trusting someone with your whole heart, right? So Quinn's decision to start with trust, pretty solid. And now, the main event. As I mentioned, I was not sure how the religious aspect of these books was going to fit with the other themes, but Dee Henderson is a genius. I'm not someone who particularly enjoys being preached at. I want to know the truth, but I want to know in my soul that it's the truth. These books do not preach at you, because the characters don't preach at you. Again, it's a very realistic progression. Another great example from book 4. Lisa is a forensic pathologist, so she deals with a lot of dead people. It's hard to get someone with her mindset to believe in the possibility of a resurrection after 3 days. It's a stretch. I could not have predicted how Dee was going to change Lisa's mind about the miraculous possibility of that, and I don't want to spoil such an important plot point, so I'm just gonna say that it was intense. The Protector, on the other hand, deals with the story of Christmas, and that can sound very lackluster coming from the resurrection, but if you're in Jack's shoes and your whole life's falling apart for not the first time but the second time, it's not. It's hard to have that Christmas joy and Christmas hope, so it's turning out to be another very interesting story of redemption. So in the end, if you enjoy mystery or suspense, these books are for you. If you enjoy romance, these books are also for you. If you want to know what solid Christian fiction looks like, these books are for you. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. To be sure you don't miss a beat, you can also hit the bell icon to turn on post notifications so that you receive a notification every time I post. For daily updates, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and don't forget to sign up for my monthly newsletter to receive exclusive content. Have a great day, friends, and I will see you next week. Did I hit the points? That was a lot of points.